Hello, students. Previously, we used this carbon cycle simulation to identify how carbon traveled around the Earth, going through the different spheres: the atmosphere, the biosphere, the hydrosphere, and the geosphere. Today, we're going to look at how human activities impact this cycle. So, you have your link to go into the carbon cycle, and you have this worksheet that you're going to be working to fill out. So the first thing we want to do, the first thing it mentions in the worksheet is fossil fuels, which are coal, oil, and natural gas, which were formed millions of years ago from the remains of ancient animals and plants, which humans burn which when humans burn them for their energy, puts more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So we're going to look at how do humans affect the carbon cycle. So we're going to see, we want to first figure out how coal and oil are formed. And so we're going to find each of these items in the simulation and find out what caused them to be formed. So we can go from atmosphere to land plants over to coal is down glowing, so we're able to open that one, and we can read about how it's formed. We can also go from atmosphere to land plants down to soil, sediment, and petroleum, which is right here, this whole tower thing, and see how petroleum is formed. So once we write out the summary of how and so this is not, my apologies, this is the path to achieve each of these. This is not the saying how they're formed. This is running out the pathway, just like we discussed pathways before, from atmospheric CO2 to each of these fuels. Next, you're going to be making the pathway for natural gas. So there's going to be multiple pathways for this, so we want to identify two different pathways. So in the gizmo, natural gas is here. So we want to find two ways to get from natural gas, to get from atmospheric CO2, I'm going to reset this to atmospheric CO2, down to natural gas. We can see the natural gas is formed out of sediments. So we need to find two paths that allow us to create sediment. So play around looking for different pathways that could possibly go into the sediment, because those will allow us to create natural gas. Document these pathways here. In this question, how is the formation of natural gas related to the formation of coal and petroleum? You're going to identify how it is similar and how it is different. So is it similar to coal? Is it similar to petroleum? Is it different from coal, or is it different from petroleum? You're going to identify each of these things. So examine the pathways that were used to create each of those things to identify which one is similar to and which one is different from, and why. So once you've done this, once you've found coal, petroleum, natural gas, we want to identify what are they used for, what's their main use. So that's where we're going to actually be reading up on what they are used for, to see what humans use these for. And sometimes that might require going to a different step in the process to see how we tend to use them. You're going to do this for each of these fuels. And then for each of them, because they all do the same thing as an end product, You're going to identify what the end product of fossil fuel burning is and where where that product goes. So in the simulation, where does that product end up? What is the next step here? Where is that CO2 going? Another thing that is mentioned here is cement. Beyond the fuels that are used carbon, cement also uses carbon. So you're going to find the pathway to achieve cement from atmospheric carbon. You can one hint they give is that it includes limestone. So if we can find a pathway from atmospheric CO2 to limestone, then that will give us the ability to get to cement. Once we hit cement, we want to read up on what it tells us about cement to understand how carbon dioxide is produced by the cement plant. Then we're going to reset and go to land animals. We're going to make a pathway to land animals and then go from land animals to atmospheric CH4, which stands for methane. So if I reset this, we're going to go from atmospheric CO2 to land plants to land animals to atmospheric CH4. Here we're going to learn about how land animals create methane and how the herds of cows kept by humans affect the Earth's atmosphere. Finally, we're going to do some analysis and draw some conclusions. So in many tropical rainforests, people clear land by cutting down trees and burning them. After a few years, the soil runs out of nutrients and cannot be farmed any longer. How does this practice of slash and burn agriculture affect Earth's atmosphere? So we recognize that this practice is cutting down trees and burning them, effectively creating forest fires. So how do forest fires affect the Earth's atmosphere? Overall, in general, across fossil fuels of coal, petroleum, and natural gas, cement, and land, human livestock, and slash and burn agriculture, what effect do human activities have on the carbon cycle? How do we affect the carbon cycle? Thank you. That is the assignment for today. Have a good day.